The work of Max Weber, a prominent sociologist and political economist, greatly influenced social theory research and the discipline of sociology. In this lesson, we learn the definition of social power, according to Weber, and discuss the three types of legitimate authority: charismatic, traditional, and rational legal. Social power is the ability to achieve goals even if other people oppose those goals. All societies are built on some form of power, and this power typically resides within the government. However, some governments in the world exercise their power through force, which is not legitimate. Leaders must have an explanation for their power and superiority, and there are only three types of legitimate, legal and accepted, authority. The three types of legitimate authority are charismatic authority, traditional authority, and rational legal authority. These types of authority are hierarchical in nature, meaning that a society progresses from one type to the other and finally reaches the state of rational legal authority, which most resembles a modern liberal democracy. Just as the term charisma implies, charismatic authority is bestowed upon a person because of their personal charm or strong personality. Typically, this leader's mission and values inspire others. The charismatic leader is not obeyed because of a statute of law, but due to their unusual personal qualities and abilities to create obedience among the people. The charismatic leader does not have any actual power, but this is irrelevant as long as the people in the society believe he or she has power. Heroism, victories, and successes for the community help to establish continued authority. It is difficult for charismatic leaders to maintain long-term authority. Once the leader loses charisma or dies, authority tends to shift to traditional or legal rational-based systems. An example of charismatic authority in religious power systems is Jesus. Another example is the authority of Gandhi of India in the first half of the 1900s. Both leaders demonstrated the unusual qualities to create obedience and develop followers among people in their societies. In a traditional authority system, the legitimacy of authority comes from tradition or custom. The rights and power of an individual or group are not challenged by the people because this is the way their society has traditionally been governed, and there is a respect for old cultural beliefs and practices. In traditional authority systems, the authority is passed down, often through heredity, and does not change over time. Due to this type of system structure, inequalities among the people within the society are created and preserved. A traditional authority system will persist unless it is opposed by the people in the society. An example of traditional authority in religious power systems would be the power that priests hold. Another example is the rule of a monarch system, a king or queen. In both examples, the power was bestowed to individuals or groups years ago, and they have retained the power because of the cultural beliefs and practices of the society. Rational legal authority is a system in which an individual or governmental institution exerts power based on a system of rules. The person who has the power is appointed or elected by a process. Once that person or institution leaves office, their authority is gone. The authority remains with the office and not the individual. These systems are the most advanced and stable. They provide routine and structure to authority. Historically, rational legal authority systems were established in opposition to pre-existing traditional or charismatic systems of authority. A rational legal authority system can be opposed. However, change is typically sought through political means instead of violence or force. It is important to note that while these systems have been presented separately, each authority systems may reflect some characteristics of the other. For example, an elected official in a rational legal authority system may have charismatic traits, which helps him or her get elected by the people. An example of rational legal authority in religious power systems is the Roman Catholic Church. Another example of rational legal authority is the government in the United States, which is made up of elected officials. Sociology is the study of human social behavior, human development, organizations, and institutions. In order to better understand those institutions and how humans are organized, it is important to understand how societies are governed. This lesson will discuss and differentiate between the 5 main forms of power, or government, utilized in past and present societies: monarchy, democracy, oligarchy, authoritarianism, totalitarianism. Whoa, what's going on in that country? It looks like they aren't happy with their government. Well, why wouldn't they be happy? Can't they elect their leaders and play a role in their government? No. There are many forms of government in which people have no say in any matters, private or public. All societies are established under some form of power or government. The well-known sociologist Max Weber defined power as the ability to achieve goals even if some people in the society hold differing opinions and goals. Power takes on different forms in different societies. Let me tell you about the 5 basic forms of government. Let's begin with monarchy. Monarchy was the most common form of government until the 19th century. Monarchy is a form of government in which a single family rules from generation to generation. The power, or sovereignty, is personified in a single individual. There are 2 main types of monarchy that differ based on the level of power held by the individual or family currently in power. Absolute monarchy exists when the monarch has no or few legal limitations in political matters. Constitutional monarchies, which are more common, exist when the monarch retains a distinctive legal and ceremonial role but exercises limited or no political power. The most familiar example of a monarchy is the constitutional monarchy that exists in the United Kingdom. Queen Elizabeth II is the head of state of the UK, as well as monarch of 15 other independent countries. She and the royal family have ceremonial roles, but do not make up the laws which govern the people. Another form of government is a democracy. Democracy is defined as a form of government in which power belongs to the people. There are 2 forms of democracy. One is direct democracy, in which all eligible citizens have direct participation in the decision-making of the government. The second and more common form of democracy is representative democracy, in which citizens exercise their power through elected representatives. The elected representatives propose, develop, and create laws for the citizens to abide by. The most familiar example of democracy is the representative democracy that exists in the United States of America. Americans elect a president and representatives of Congress. The next form of government is oligarchy. Oligarchy is a form of government in which all power resides with a few people, or in a dominant class or group within a society. These groups of people may be distinguished by royalty, wealth, education, or military control. Sometimes, oligarchy governments are controlled by a few families who pass their power from one generation to the next. Unlike monarchs, however, they do not have to be connected by bloodlines in order to inherit power. For example, one family may have power for several years, and then the power may be shifted to another group of people or another family based on their military ties or wealth. These decisions are not influenced by the people. They are influenced solely within the small group of people with whom the power is held. The most well-known example is the former Soviet Union. Other examples of oligarchy governments are found in the countries of China, North Korea, and Venezuela. Governments can also impose their power in forceful methods. Authoritarianism is a form of government in which the people have no participation. The characteristics of authoritarianism include absolute obedience to authority by the people and ill-defined and often changing executive power. An example of this type of government is the country of Cuba. In Cuba, there is one leader that rules the country. Cuban citizens are not allowed freedom of speech, religion, or press. The inhabitants of the country are poor, while the leader is wealthy. Citizens of the country do not vote, as the leader is already assumed. Totalitarianism is a type of power where the leaders have unlimited and total control over people's lives. This form of government seeks to control all aspects of public and private life wherever possible. In this type of society, citizens are scared into submission by tactics such as killing, bribing, and censorship. Unfortunately, we are familiar with totalitarianism, as we have seen many examples throughout history. Hitler's Nazi rule of Germany would be an example, but there are also governments today that operate in this manner. So you see, there are many forms of government, and societies are organized and function under different rules and forms of power. Some people have more freedom, while others are scared into following the rules due to the type of leadership they have. Hooray! It's election day! I'm so glad this date is finally here. Come on, let's go vote. Yeah, I'm happy too. Happy that all those political ads are over. I'm not going with you to vote. I'm staying here. What's your problem? Why aren't you voting? What's the point? It seems like only one person has all the power, and what the common people say doesn't really matter. You should be interested in politics. Even people like sociologists are interested in the balance of political power within a society because they seek to understand the nature of the power relationship. Is the political power in a society equitable or inequitable? Is the power stable or subject to change? Sociologists analyze the relationships of those who hold power and those who seek it. Let me explain political power and those who desire it, such as political parties, special interest groups, and political action committees, also referred to as PACs. Power, according to sociologist Max Weber, is the ability to achieve goals with or without the society's support of those goals. Sociologists often discuss two main types of political models of power when analyzing political structures. The pluralist model, as described by sociologists, is all about negotiation, and power is distributed among competing interest groups. No one group gets all the power, but instead, alliances are forged among interest groups working toward the same goal. On the other hand, the power elite model is the opposite. In this model, sociologists argue that the majority of the power is held by the wealthy. In this case, the wealthy refers to businesses, government, and the military. Due to the distribution of the power to a few, it is argued that the average person cannot have his or her voice heard. The form of government in the United States is a representative democracy, in which citizens exercise their power through elected representatives. Political power resides in the three branches of government: executive, legislative, and judicial, and through the election of public officials. In this system, each branch of government is accountable to the others, and no single branch of government holds all the power. The people elect the executive and legislative branches, while the executive branch appoints the members of the judicial branch, subject to approval by the legislators. There are two predominant political parties in the United States government: Republicans and Democrats. Republicans are generally characterized as more conservative in their views, and they tend to support policies that reduce federal regulations, that strengthen the military, and that boost capital endeavors. Democrats are generally characterized as more liberal in their views and support policies to strengthen social services, protect the environment, and make businesses accountable. There are more than just two parties that seek power, however. Really? I've only heard of Republicans and Democrats. The United States has what are referred to as third parties. The major third parties are the Constitution Party, the Green Party, and the Libertarian Party. The Constitution Party can be characterized as having views that reflect the Founding Fathers' ideals, the U.S. Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and morals taken from the Bible. The Green Party has views that emphasize environmentalism, social justice, and respect for diversity, peace, and nonviolence. The Libertarian Party holds views and philosophies that regard liberty as the utmost political goal. Specifically, libertarians hold sacred individual liberty and political freedom. So what if I don't choose a type of political party? Does that mean I can't vote? Well, some political candidates and voters feel the same way, and they choose to be independent, which means they choose not to identify with any particular political party. Typically, independents hold more centralized views that incorporate the views of both Republicans and Democrats. In some states, independent voters are not allowed to vote in primary elections, but in most states, independent voters can vote in any primary election they choose. There are other groups who seek political power, but they have to find other ways to be represented and have their voices heard. Big companies and other groups hire people to advocate for their causes. These people are referred to as lobbyists. A lobbyist is an individual or a group of individuals that are hired to influence government officials, legislatures, and agencies based on the best interests of their clients. Big companies and other groups hire lobbyists to advocate for their causes. Lobbyists do this by presenting information that may influence the legislature's opinion toward a topic. Sometimes, lobbyists may even write a piece of legislation. Lobbyists are typically former political officials, and most are lawyers. Political action committees, commonly referred to as PACs or PACs, are special interest groups that influence candidates or political parties through money. PACs, such as the National Rifle Association, the American Medical Association, or anti-abortion groups, are focused on a particular area of interest. The money raised supports the candidates' or political parties' election campaigns. PACs commonly pay for advertisements that support or oppose the viewpoints of the candidate running for office. PACs can play a major role in voter turnout and support. See, my voice does not matter. Why vote? I don't have loads of money to influence politicians. You have voter apathy. Voter apathy is when a voter feels that his or her vote doesn't matter, so they lose interest in the political process and stop voting. When there is low voter turnout on election day, apathy is the perceived cause.